Hello Copic friends, Michelle Houghton here. This is a really quick beginner lesson or kind of intro lesson about Copics because I continue to get a lot of questions when I do all of our recordings about the markers, about some of the basics, and even though I've created some of those videos in the past, I'm just refreshing some of that information in little snippets as we go through the months again. So what I thought I tackled this month is a little bit about some of the basics on the markers and how they differ. And then also I wanted to talk briefly next month about paper because consistently that's probably one of the biggest questions we get. So along with some of the things I'm doing or trying to make more of a regular kind of education piece of Copic in the craft room, as we kind of take it back to some of the coloring basics and some of the basics about your markers, is also just hitting those commonly asked questions. Even though we've covered them before, I've covered them specifically before, we'll hit them again and see if that continues to be helpful. So we get a lot of questions about the different body styles of the Copic markers. And there are 3 primary body styles, and you're looking at them right here. There is a 4th less common one, and it's this guy, and I'll talk about this here in a second. But we've got the original or the classic, and you're going to see it called both. It is a square body, so when you look at the end you have the very square cap. It is dual-ended. It comes with this little fine tip bullet nib and a medium broad nib. Okay, that's what it comes with. But this bad boy has like 11 or 13, I can't remember off the top of my head, different nibs that will swap out. Now, the key is you can only swap certain nibs in this end because notice the size of the hole. It's fairly tiny. And then this end is the bigger hole opening, similar to the Copic Sketch and Chao. And so there's only certain nibs that can fit in that end, and it's slightly different than the others. So there's a bunch of different nibs, but it can only go in one end or the other. So the nibs are replaceable. There's all different sizes. It holds the most ink of the 3. It also, if you have one of these lovely airbrushes systems, when you unplug, it clicks in nice and tight and fits in that air gun perfectly for the airbrush system. So replaceable ink, replaceable nibs, holds the most ink of the 3 marker bodies. A lot of people like this. This is the original. This is what they started with. It does not come in all 300 and what are we at, 58, 68 colors, but you can buy blanks, meaning a marker that doesn't have any ink in it. It truly is just the outside, the felt pieces inside, and the nibs. And you can fill it with any of the refills. So you can build your collection completely out of these guys if you want. And then you'll just have to mark the bodies yourself and figure out a way to mark the ends. So that is kind of the classic or the original. Then you've got the Chao, which is the other end of the spectrum. So this little guy is the smallest of the 3. It holds the least amount of ink. It has dual nibs as well. It fits the, it comes with the medium broad and the super brush nib, just like the Sketch. It does not come in all the colors either, but to my knowledge, they have started producing blanks in these, so you can build a larger collection to that. Now, for someone who is a beginner at Copics or have never touched Copics and want to just try it, if you've never tried alcohol markers before and you're really timid about the price, this one, the price point is the lowest. That's the biggest selling point of the Chaos, is it's got the lowest selling point. The nibs are still replaceable. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The markers are still refillable. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You can still refill these. You can still replace the nibs. Exactly the same. This body, the marker body, will last you forever. Here's the differences. If you have an airbrush system, this does not click in. It does not lock. It will just fall out. People stuff things in here to make it fit, but it is not a tight fit. Okay, that's number one. It will roll across your table. I do know some people that bothers. Not necessarily an issue, but for some, that is bothersome. To me, one of the other big issues is the cap system is completely different. Both of the other markers have a solid plastic cap. Now, basically, it's a solid piece of plastic. It has like some air like inside, but it's a solid piece. There's no gaps. There's no seams in this. So when you click it on, you can hear the click. You know that that should be airtight. And that is kind of how that works. This little guy, and we'll see if I can make sure you guys can see this. Let's see if I can. Okay, we just got a view. Sorry, you're like way power close up. There is a double ring system. And then outside that inner ring, there are small holes. So the Copic Chao was made for young crafters, in particular little guys, where that if they put a cap in their mouth and actually accidentally choked it down, they could actually get air through this. So it became a non-choking hazard. The big issue with this to me is as crafters and sometimes artists, we're going really fast between colors. We're clicking lids on and off. It's not such a big deal with your super brush nib. It just kind of goes right into that inner thing, that inner cap. With this medium broad nib, I've met a few people that as they quickly stuff one in, it's over to one side or the other. That inner ring literally goes into the felt and shoves into the felt and splits their nib. Sorry. And that obviously you can't repair that. You have to replace that. So for a few people, those caps are a little bit troublesome. The other pieces, there is no number because of that hole system. There's no numbering system on the end. So if you store your markers, whichever way you store them, I realize that's debatable. Whether you store them vertically, whether you store them horizontally, if the end is what is facing you, and for most of us, that is going to be how it's stored, whichever way you're storing it. You can't see the number. You can see the cap color, but you cannot see the number. And so for some of us, that is frustrating as well. I've seen a ton of people put little tiny round things that they stick on with a glue dot, and I get that, but it's not the same as having the number printed on there. So those are some of the minuses. The biggest plus, and I repeat, is refillable. The nibs are replaceable. You can have all the different ink colors. It's the same Copic ink. It is cheaper. It is less expensive to start with these guys. That's the Chao. Then you have the Sketch. So this is the in-between guy. It holds the in-between amount of ink, 2 nibs, super brush, medium broad. It again has the solid plastic cap that clicks on nice and tight. Has the number embossed and painted on the ends. It also has the number embossed and painted on the side. This comes in every single color that Copic makes. It also clicks and locks into the airbrush system. So there's a bonus there. So there's a lot of advantage to these guys. It's an oblong body, so it's not going to roll across your table. So for a lot of crafters, this becomes the go-to marker. It has the brush in that we really, really want. Now you can, obviously you have a brush in the Chao. You can put a brush in the classic or original. It is not, I repeat, it is not the super brush nib. It is a shorter brush nib, but there is a soft brush nib if you want it. But this tends to be the marker of choice for crafters in particular, because it's that in-between point. But it is pricey. You're getting what you pay for. It is one of, what I have tested out there, it is my favorite alcohol-based marker. I feel like the quality is still one of the top ones out there. So I still think you're getting your money's worth on these guys. So that is the sketch marker. So those are your three. Those are the slight differences. They all have the same ink. They all are refillable. Nibs are all replaceable. The other is the wide. It only has a single end. This was a blank that I chose to put kind of a unique color combo into. It comes with a single nib, and then you can replace that nib. They come with either a chisel nib that is slanted, or you can do a kind of a calligraphy nib that's flat. Kind of some neat, fun things to do with those. At this point in Copic world, you can only buy blanks of these. So you cannot buy ones that have color already in them. You only buy the blanks, and you can create your own collection of colors, whether you're pre-mixing, like creating your own unique colors, or if you're using the actual colors that Copic makes and filling the ones you really want. I would personally recommend that. I think it's going to be hard to keep consistent with a unique color combination that you are creating yourself. So those are the Copic markers. The other Copic brand pen that is out there is the Copic Multiliners. And those come in two forms. You have the Copic Multiliner SP, which are these metal guys, and you have the standard Copic Multiliner. The Copic Multiliner is a disposable pen, meaning when this ink is done or this nib is bent, you throw it away and you buy a new one. These are fairly inexpensive in comparison. They are a sketch pen. They are completely compatible with Copic inks. If I let them dry completely, that being the key, you have to let them dry completely. You can then color your Copic over the top of them and they will not bleed if you let them dry completely. Notice I'm saying that again. They come in all sorts of different sizes, from a point, I want to say 1.0, which is big, all the way down to a 0.05, which is minuscule, like itty bitty. They come in, I think at this point, like 6 colors. There's a green, there's a navy, there's a burgundy, like a wine color. You have a violet color. I think I have that one over here. Yes, you have the sepia, which I have the SP in. And there's a pink. They used to have a rainbow. Those don't exist anymore. If you have those, you have kind of some of the leftovers of a long gone era. The SP, the big difference is pieces are replaceable. You can pull out the nib and replace that. You can also pull out the ink, and this whole little canister comes out and replace the ink. So again, the body, this tube, the metal pen, you keep that and you just replace it with new ink and new nibs when you're ready. The Multiliners also come in a brush nib, a small and a large, and then they also come in some calligraphy nibs. So, and all of those different colors, all of those different sizes are Copic ink compatible. So that, all of this goodness is part of the Copic family. If you guys have questions about the body styles and what's going on there, please let me know. I will tell you, for the month of May of 2022, if you're watching this now, every single one of these sketch markers is on sale over at Violetta Ink. She's got those guys, and she just decided to do the entire batch of sketch markers. Those are all on sale. So if you're missing a couple that you'd really like to complete, like little gaps in your color set, now is the time. And remember, I'm going to tell you this, and I mean this with every ounce of my being. You do not need every single color. I don't own every single color. I don't need even all the ones that I own. So be thoughtful about your purchases. Make sure they're ones of value to you. And then take care of the ones that you do own and make them last. All right, everybody. That is it for today. You guys have a wonderful week ahead, a wonderful weekend ahead, and a happy, colorful day.